Hello and welcome to Weekly Geek Speak. I'm Andrew.
I am Scott.
And I'm Steve.
And it's episode 101.
Dalmatians.
Yes, so we're going to run around like doggies, and Steve's going to dress as Cruella de Vil and catch us.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We are a weekly geek podcast. We talk film, comics, movies and more. Film, comics, television and more. And all kinds of other stuff. You can find us on Twitter, so please do interact. We'd love to hear from you. Any of the subjects we talk about today. Just send your views to @WeeklyGeekSpeak. You can also email us, weeklygeekspeak@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, so please do give us a like, share our posts, retweet us, whatever you wish to do. You can download us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher and Podcastland, and we are also on YouTube, where we also have a gaming channel. What's coming up on the YouTube channel, Scott?
On Reviews Arcade, we're playing Mortal Kombat, there's more Sonic 3, Hyrule Warriors, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the video game. That is coming.
Good stuff.
That is coming.
Yes.
And anything else you want us to play, get in touch.
I'm going to have to think about that, because I'm sure there's some good stuff I can think of.
We had a lot of great suggestions.
Killer Instinct Gold.
One of my favourite fighting games ever.
Yeah. So yeah, please do check us out. I just wanted, just before we get into what we usually do, is I want to thank James for the awesome podcast picture.
Cheers, James.
Thank you, James.
I've never seen... I look great as Superman, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good.
I look great as a mildly disabled person in a Star costume.
Star-Lord.
You look really happy.
I want to be... It was a genuine friendly request. Like... Oh, it would be cool if one day I was Star-Lord, and now I'm this weird mascot running around and picture Batman or Superman, and I'm Star-Lord with a badger sniffing my chin.
Well, I thought that's what you wanted, but
no. Never request anything again.
So yeah, please do check James out at Artie Fufkin. He does doodles a day. He does some great work, and we appreciate him so much for the great work he does. Please do send your 3-word reviews to us at Weekly Geek. Speaking our 3-word review is where we review films in 3 words, and you might be thinking, why am I bringing those now? But I remembered, because we had such short time at the end of the last podcast, I never went through mine from the week before.
Okay.
And I like doing them, so I'm going to do them. And this is
I never think to do them.
So I recommended last time Tal.
Oh, yeah?
You did?
Which I called an intriguing budget fable.
Interesting.
I then watched 7, which I also get 8 out of 10.
You didn't lead with 7?
I didn't, because I think lots of people have seen 7. And these were 2.
We always approach this differently. I literally go for the best film.
I know, but I thought, what do I have more to talk about? And I didn't feel I had much to talk about 7. But 7 I put 8 out of 10, best flayed plans.
Nice.
I watched Wreck-It Ralph, which is also an 8 out of 10. Heartfelt Pixel Romp.
It is a romp.
It is a romp. Grave Encounters, 7 out of 10, which is a found footagey kind of horror thing.
Film.
I said 7 out of 10, Handheld Done Well.
It's a shame they made the sequel.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. It's fine, but it's weird. I watched Batman, Assault on Arkham, which I gave 6 out of 10, and I said Assault on Senses.
Do you not like it?
It was fine. I liked the first half of it, because I really enjoyed having a Suicide Squad movie, but then it just turned into a Batman and Joker movie.
It was this weird sort of hodgepodge of, it wanted to be this like Arkham Batman game adaptation, whilst wanting to be a Suicide Squad film.
Yeah.
So there's this weird middle ground of like, you're seeing all the designs and aspects of Arkham and Batman in it, but a Suicide Squad film is it.
It was a bit odd. That's what let it down for me, but it was still a good watch.
The Suicide Squad portion's incredibly
brilliant,
strong.
Yeah. Patch Adams, which we got the D commend overall,
yes,
5 out of 10, unsurprisingly over sentimental, which it was. Super Mario Brothers, which we screened, I gave 6 out of 10, and put weird a mashup, and we will be talking about that later in the podcast. Ponyo, the Studio Ghibli film, 7 out of 10, freaky fishy fairy tale.
It is. It's a very, very strange
very
film.
odd.
The bit where she's running on the sea with the car. It's not a spoiler, but that with the weird Ponyo. It's very surreal.
I always find it's not a spoiler to be like the geeky filmic equivalent of. I'm not racist, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not a spoiler, but I've just
when it kind
The
of
bit where she's on the water.
it's not a spoiler, but the end of the film.
Where?
I watched Let's Kill Ward's Wife, which we reviewed on the website.
Yeah.
And that was 6 out of 10. Light-hearted murder.
Okay.
And it's almost very dark because it's so light. And also, finally, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which I'd never seen before.
No, I've not seen that.
6 out of 10, Silver Shamrock Shenanigans. And Silver Shamrock is the TV station.
Where is Michael?
Yeah. Yes.
Would be my review.
But yeah, send us your 3 reviews, just like that. I like to do them. You like to do them. Popular Outcast really likes to do them. But please do that. But yeah,
They're fun to do.
And one more thing before we get on to the Recommend Decommend this week is Attaboy Clarence podcast did a fantastic Hitchcock special. Do check that out. But what I really wanted to bring is on his film club last week. He did put up the Superman animation. I think it's
the Flash cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
And they were really interesting. They're about 10 minutes each, aren't they? And they're really interesting.
Okay.
Watch. I quite enjoyed watching them. So yeah, check that out. Attaboy C, the Attaboy Clarence podcast. Great cartoon, great podcast.
Bruce Timm's style, which informed Batman the Animated Series, which informs everything that got me into superheroes.
Oh wow.
But now it is time to play our bi-weekly catch-up game, which is called Recommend Decommend. Steve, tell us what that is.
As you said, it's bi-weekly. We basically bring all the films we've watched in the interim between recording. We pitch our highest rated one into the pot and discuss it. Then we vote on them, and we then pitch our lowest rated ones, and we pitch them into the pot to see which one ends up in the well of decommend, which is a word that's now in the dictionary because of us now. We'd like it to be. It's a word
What do you mean, like?
we've coined.
It's done.
It's done.
Oh.
We scrolled it in.
You went back into Waterstones?
Yeah.
Nice. Good work. So yeah.
Cool. I think I've done myself a disservice here because I am always fair and I rearranged who goes first in each time, and I know Scott's seen a very good film for Decommend. But I'm going to pick Scott first anyway, so recommend. What's your recommend this week, Scott?
It's tough because it's a lot of weird, predictable, talked about them a million times stuff, because apart from a girly teen night me and Andrew had, I've just watched a handful of Marvel films. Which have talked
Got Marvel fever.
Marvel fever, Marvel mumps.
Marvel mumps.
Got Marvel
That
mumps.
sounds painful.
But I guess the best film is Iron Man.
Okay.
I am Ironing Man.
I can't stop ironing.
What a strong start.
Obviously.
Why on earth would you bring that to this podcast?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
No.
But it's always, even 11 films in, it's still one of my absolute favourites. Just everything it spawns, just the relentless charm, the way it seems to revitalise sort of a lot of genre superhero films up to that point were getting really flat and stale, and this somehow, even though it did all the same beats, just felt really fresh and fun and refreshing. And it borrows its structure from Batman Begins, and it embraces the sort of aesthetic that everyone thought superhero films or the Marvel ones were too light and cheesy and candy floss, but this just embraced that and injected it with humour and charm to go, no, it's a very viable tone and way to do these. And it built an empire off the back of it. It's just a weird charm factory that holds up, even though we're not that far removed from it. Like, it's been 7 years. But it fit. I know.
Wow.
But I really think it's going to hold up for a long time. It's got that weird rewatchable charm that like stuff like Raiders has, and do you know what I mean? You just know it's good. It's Jurassic Park. You just know what you're getting. You can put that on, chew your way through it, and
think like 6 months before it was released, we were like, really, an Iron Man film? Marvel are scraping the bottom of the barrel here. How wrong we were.
It's the film that launched 1,000 films, isn't it?
It certainly is. Well, that's a strong start. Steve, how are you going to combat that?
I'm going to combat that. Well, since I've watched 2 films, both thoroughly enjoyed both of them, it's going to be tough. But I'm going to bring Mortified as my recommend. A documentary on, basically, a couple of guys got together on a great idea that they were reading through their childhood diaries and how cringeworthy they were, and you'll go through this dark teenage period where you confide in your diary and you shut out the world and you write everything you want into your diary, or you're in with thoughts. And they decided to pitch that to the people to take the show on the road, and basically it's just a really interesting, sweet, heartwarming, happy, and funny. It goes through the range of emotions, but it's just how we're all the same on the inside, and it's just people on stage reading out their childhood diaries, and it's just a really nice idea. It's really sweet, it's really well done, it's really poignant, genuinely touching, and there's not really a lot else I can say. It's just such a nice idea, and they are coming to the UK. Mortified Nation. Look them up.
I never had a diary as a child, did you?
No. Yeah, sort of for time. Yeah, I had to bin it.
Do you have it?
I've got some of it. Yeah, I have got some of it.
Would it be too much to read it out?
No, I can find it out. I was going to
that'd
ask
be
you guys
lovely.
whether you had one.
I was going to say, generally, what would your mortified story be from your childhood? Is there anything that you say?
It's not a big deal, but I once in primary school, I was coming back into the classroom for whatever reason, and Joe, when like the teacher wasn't in, and so it were like a zoo in there, and everyone's really loud and like talking, and loads of stuff's happening. For some reason, I thought it'd be a cracking idea to like barge in and go like, because you're a kid. You don't think that. You don't think it through.
You just go for it.
So I decided to do it because I must have heard wrong or imagined wrong, and I did it when the class was actually sat down quietly doing like a test or something. So I was barging up, and then it was the most strict teacher, like was sort of help me, and I think the weird sort of goal of me doing it weirdly disarmed him. So then, because I looked immediately embarrassed, walked sheepishly to my seat, and then comedically like slammed my head on the desk, like, what have I done? And then he just crawled slowly towards me, and then put his hand on me, like, yeah, you embarrassed yourself, you tick. And I sometimes get, I think it's a metaphor for most of my life.
I remember when I got a magazine, and when they came in, like, if it had a free gift, they had like a silver packet on it.
Yeah.
So I got the silver packet, and I noticed that it was completely like sealed, like a lot of carrier bags have holes in the thing. So I thought this would make an absolutely brilliant water bomb. So I went into the idiotically upstairs bathroom and filled it full of water, and then I thought, right, I need to turn the tap off, so I'm just going to balance this on top of the radiator. A bag full of water balanced on top of a radiator.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Possibly go wrong.
Turned around, turned the tap on, turned back around, and it just fell and slopped all over the floor, and then leaked through the floor into the kitchen. And then I just said, "Mum, I think the radiator's leaked." And then she like got someone around to fix a brand new radiator on, and I never told her that.
Ever.
Oh.
It's funny as a kid though, because like you'd do that today and you'd laugh and clean it up in like an hour. But as a kid, you weirdly feel like it's the end of the world.
The end of the world.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not getting over this. Like, no one must ever know.
Yeah, that's it.
What could happen?
Yeah,
but it's fucking stupid. I remember like accidentally smashing like the wing mirror of a car with a ball. And that, I had to like run home, hope my mum would never find out. Yeah. Why would she find out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's that weird.
Still guilty about that. It's been 15 years.
We used to throw water bombs out of my friend's garage because we lived on the corner of an estate. And we used to throw water bombs at the double-decker buses because we could hide and we could pop up. His drive was sort of a hill, so we used to do that. And it was the most fun. Looking back, really dangerous, but we used to just throw. Yeah, and we were doing that. Great fun. Went on for a few weeks over summer. Threw a water bomb, and there was
this commitment. I thought that was like an evening
screech of brakes, and I'd thrown a water bomb at my dad's car. Needless to say, I didn't see the rest of summer.
I think
justice was served.
But yeah, water bomb's great. Tell us your water bomb. That's what we're talking about.
Tell us your stories.
So yeah, you've brought Mortified.
Yeah, Mortified, and they are coming to the UK, which excites me. I'll be intrigued.
Share your Mortified.
Yeah, share your stories.
Either tweet us if they're short enough, or please do email us the full stories at weeklygeekspeak@gmail.com.
And check out Mortified Nation UK. Google it, and you'll find the website and the Twitter on there for more information. It's a great film, just a heartwarming, nice.
So I can either 2 rewatches. One of them's going to come to the table, and I can either play the field and bring out something really strong,
Okay.
Or I can go with something I watched last year, and actually watching it again, it went up 2 points in my book.
Oh, wow.
So where do I go?
Again, I can't answer without knowing what's on the table, but I kind of half want to hear what they all are.
Well,
I know.
I think I will go, because we just spent a few minutes there talking about things. It's killed. I'll go with the easy option now. It's a film we have talked about a lot.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's a film we all like, and seeing as you've brought Iron Man, which is quite strong, I'm the only one who can bring this film, and it's Frozen.
Okay.
Oh, we're back.
And I'm just gonna throw it in here. Steve's brought this.
Yeah.
Didn't get recommended. Scott's
Yeah.
brought this. Doesn't get recommended. Now this is Frozen's final chance.
Oh,
be recommended.
can we live with it never being recommended?
So that's it. Basically, great film. If you haven't seen it, we've talked about it loads. The other one I was going to bring was Starry Eyes, which I rewatched, and it's a lot more brutal than I remembered, and it's got a lot more about it. I think the problem is when you sit in a room, you get desensitised, and it didn't hit me quite. Whereas actually, I watched it, and the message is great, the story is great, the metaphor is great, and the violence is absolutely terrifyingly real. And what's really good about, if you are a gorehound, it's brash, it's in your face, but it's not over the top. You only get a few scenes of actual proper violence. There's a lot of gross stuff as well, and stuff, but there's a great story, it's a great metaphor, and it's a great look of how fame continuing to a green-eyed monster which destroys everything
Like the
in your
Hulk.
path. Yeah, like the Hulk.
That's really nice to hear, because that's sort of echoed. That's the one that really stood out for me from the thing. So that's really good to.
Well, it's
to
also
hear
I was
that
unsure
you're echoing.
when we brought it for the best horror in the awards.
Yeah.
It was the one I was umming and ahhing about. We're actually watching it again. It was fantastic, but I am bringing Frozen
Okay.
to the table just because I want to, because it might be the last chance for me to bring it.
Oh my god.
So it comes to voting, and Scott has the first vote, and he has Mortified or Frozen.
Oh. Well, you really so mortified, and I really want to watch that because it sounds just interesting and sweet. And there's something about recounting childhood stories, and because they affect us, but child memories are weird. 'Cause it's you, but it's not you.
That's it, and
Do you know
it's
what I mean?
and it's a documentary that sparked 5-10 minutes discussion from
Yeah.
us. It's just really it captures your imagination.
Because in essence, it is you, and will always be you.
Yeah.
But it's not you because everything's more intense and weird, and you don't think things through properly. And
Yeah,
but at heart,
just
you're
learn to
at heart, you're still that
yeah.
person.
You learn to rationalise with that inner
Yeah.
demon. Yeah.
Demon.
Well,
Oh, you like it?
inner.
Yeah. But I have not seen it. Whereas I've seen Frozen 8 times probably in space of a year and a change, which is a lot.
So there's a lot.
Only 2 of them willingly, but I enjoyed it every single time.
Yeah.
And it's its last bloody chance.
I know.
But we don't really keep a record in terms of a public record of recommend, do we? And we have we've recommended it to death on the podcast, even if not officialising it in this little game we play. So
I see. Okay.
So just because yours seems like it needs a bit of spotlight, I can't believe I'm doing this. Mortified.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to. I keep people on their toes.
Oh, boy.
So Steve,
Okay.
that puts you to vote next with Iron Man and Frozen. I think you've got the hardest decision.
I have got the entire very hard decision. Scott did sell Iron Man incredibly well. It's one that I saw. I didn't see Iron Man in the cinema. I was a late starter. I saw it on DVD. I haven't seen it since. Frozen, however, we have recommended to death. We tried to put it in for the awards. It got the awards. It's one that but like you said, we don't keep a public record. But it's its last chance to be put forward into the halls of recommendation. But we have recommended it a lot.
It's one of them. If they were like some sort of official thing we did with these recommended
if we
films,
had plaques on the wall,
yeah, I'd have to go Frozen.
For
But
each
because we don't, I feel like we've done our bit. for selling for us.
Every fortnight in the Hall of Fame there was a new plaque etched on the wall for the recommend decommend in our world out there.
Yeah.
But how do you not know in the future when we get our offices that we put up on the wall all the recommends and Frozen can never go up there?
Frozen's not up there.
Frozen
Never
will
will
never ever go up there.
And this is a film that I watched 11 times in the space of less than a year. And I haven't seen it.
11.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it this year yet.
Oh, don't
Yet.
You're in April.
I'm trying to watch new films.
It's almost May. Is it May yet? It's May.
It's May. It is. What am I doing? Right. But I can never bring it again. There's no point. I'll just watch it secretly and not let anyone know. So I'm just stalling because this is really difficult. Because Iron Man did kickstart the universe we know and love and we have, and
But Frozen kicked off
Frozen
one
kicked
5-minute return at the beginning of Cinderella.
yeah.
And half of our content.
Exactly. If we went back through our podcast over the last year,
Iron Man and Frozen is our entire content.
yeah, if we took out every mention of Frozen, we'd be on about episode 94.
If any recommend defense sums us up, it's childhood memories, Marvel and Frozen.
Because that's my top 3. Your top. Oh God. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm sorry. It's going to have to be done. It's going to have to be Frozen.
Frozen.
It's going to have to be. Just it wouldn't sit well with me if I didn't do it.
You wouldn't be able to sleep.
It wouldn't be able to sleep at night not putting it forward.
Well,
and we haven't mentioned it much for months. So.
Wow, so there we are. I can either throw it to an audience vote or solidify Mortified. Iron Man's a fantastic film. It really was remarkable and a brilliant first step in the Marvel Universe. It's what we want to see. You're right there, you're readjusting.
Readjusting, don't mind me.
My turn.
I'm just checking I don't have
why are we all
cancer.
grabbing our balls?
I don't know, sometimes I think I sit a bit funny.
Okay.
Do you ever feel when
you're trapping yourself?
Yeah,
I
you
think
just get
so.
a bit.
But you don't know you're doing it until you're like something's just,
so it's not
something's just not
quite
working for me.
So, it's Iron Man's great, but I kind of agree with Scott in the time Mortified. I mean, we've talked Iron Man to death, let's be honest, or in its many forms. Mortified, if we're going on the recommend thing that I've been shouting about for the past few weeks of which film needs recommending, but I haven't seen it, and I've scrolled past it a few times and not went for it, but maybe it's worth going for. The other problem here is it puts Steve in a brand new record of he'll go the longest not being a recommended person. And we haven't thrown one to audience vote in a long time. Saying that, I don't think Frozen or Iron Man needs recommending right here today. So I will go Mortified. And
He's done it! The streak is over!
The streak is over! Won! Yeah, hold aloft the crest.
Oh my God!
And I'm shocked that Frozen was so. I thought that was a certain win, but it was so certain that it went full circle.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I can never decide. Should I just do the best film, or should I try and go recommend? Because some weeks you are recommending big films anyway, because that's all you've watched.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's what cards are on the table, isn't it? It's a game of poker.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is.
We've turned this weird, arbitrary idea
Section
for a catch-up game into some weirdly intense poker game at the beginning of every podcast.
Well, it's time for you to play your next poker card, your worst card you have in the deck. It's time for Decommend, the worst films we watched. Scott, what are you bringing?
By a country mile, which we all know is roughly 800 to 900 miles. It's a film called Pretty Little Devils, but I think it's called Legacy in America.
I thought you might bring that.
Yeah, I thought we'd all bring it. Me and Andrew had a girly teen night because we are, we're in our late 20s.
Yeah,
We're men. And occasionally we like to get together and watch teenage girl films.
What did we watch?
We watched She's the Man,
which is
I like
really
that
good.
film, yeah.
She's just Justin Bieber.
We yet again watched Hannah Montana the movie.
Not seen it.
Brilliant.
Classic.
Why was that not recommended?
Can I retroactively recommend Woody Allen?
You got my
I think
vote.
you know what the reason is. I thought I'd done it before. I was pretty sure I had.
You might have a
You did so I know you did so undercover.
decommend.
I decommended that
Yeah,
one.
I don't think you bought.
But weirdly, I decommended it, but I suggested it for this girly weird note. So it shows you my principles that I don't
Yes.
stick to. But yeah, this film, it's got Hilary Duff's sister in it, whose name escapes me.
Haley Duff.
Haley Duff. And a girl I see about whose name's not worth remembering. And it's set in a frat house.
Right. Okay.
Which I never understand. Someone has to explain fraternities to me, because every time I'm just like, this is the part I tell them to fuck off.
It seems like an overly stressful way to have accommodation.
Yeah.
Why do I want to seek the popularity of these people who are just going to be put a load of expectation on me?
Yeah, and make me do silly challenges in order to get into them.
Just don't do it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it like sets its stall out as this weird teen frat comedy,
Right.
but you know, sans jokes or commentary or satire.
Oh.
And then it weirdly turns into this whodunit murder mystery. And then at the end it seems to be paying off like slasher film tropes. So it's this weird three films in one that don't ever merge or make sense. And every single scene, I mean every single scene, plays like a porn film where the best bit doesn't quite arrive.
Wow. Okay.
Like-
And it almost like it knows that, to the point it's almost slipping innuendos, which aren't quite innuendos.
Yeah. It's
So-
it's like this weird, every scene just sets up with this weird, slightly teasy promise of something raunchy. That doesn't happen and then it cuts to the next bit.
Oh.
And I'm not saying that makes it a bad film, I want
No,
raunchy, but it seems to be actively trying
to keep you watching
suggest-
it by the sounds of it.
suggest that that's going to happen at any point. So it's like the sleaziest clean film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Without the
Definitely.
payoff.
Yeah, it's
By the sounds of
it's
it.
sleazy without any of the benefits.
Right.
And it's just utterly terrible. Like utterly, like shot like a student film with
Oh,
a
wow.
budget. Sort of. I have there's no ideas. There's no point.
Wow.
Terrible.
I don't get it.
Out of 10?
3 or 4.
Alright, okay, so not. Yeah.
No,
That's low for Scott.
I know that's low for. That's why I was intrigued. That's low. Okay.
low.
Wow. Okay.
So,
wow.
Steve.
As I say, I watched two films. My decommend comes as a kind of. I really don't want to decommend it because it's an 8 out of 10, but it's the 2002 Eight-Legged Freaks,
Oh.
which I happened to catch on TV the other day. I just think it's a really great film. I mean, I don't know
This is
whether.
decommend.
Yeah, I know. But I need to. Yeah. So I just think it's one that it's. I'll start with this positive bit, and then but it set it up. We now got mega shark versus an octopus in a tornado punching an electronic squid in space, and that kind of thing that you
Where
see
is
on
that
sci-fi.
film?
It's probably on sci-fi. Just there's different mashups every week. But
Royalties, please.
this is one that came sort of before all that, and I don't know. It knows exactly what it wants to do. There's a ton of little references in there, but really nicely put in, like film quotes, nods to other films, little references, and it works really, really well. And it's just throwaway, but the effects at points are like naff. But there's one point where it's clearly a real spider, but it looks really good. And then but I don't know, to decommend it. It's a cheesy B movie that's probably a bit naff and not to everyone's taste. And if you're scared of spiders taking over the world, watching giant spiders might not be your thing. Yeah, but it's not the greatest thing ever done, but it's good, and it's got David Arquette in. So if you're not a fan of
I'd have led
him,
with that.
if you're not a fan of him, you know.
What's his best film, do you reckon? And you're not allowed to say Scream. Or Scream 2. Or Scream 3.
Oh.
You can say Scream 4.
Scream 4. I don't know. I think that's probably the only things I can think of him in.
I always liked Ready to Rumble. It's a really
I've not seen
terrible
that.
wrestling film with WCW wrestlers in it.
Nice. When was that? Was that a really old one? Is that early? Is that 90s?
I want to say like 98, 2000 or something. But it was just awful. But they tried to like sell it during the WCW program, so he actually became WCW champion for a bit.
Right. Oh wow. Okay.
Which was awful.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So
yeah, bit of
it's
wrestling.
bit of wrestling. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it, and it's horrible decommending it, but I'm
There
gonna
you
have to. It's in the pot.
I've been, because Scott has picked Pretty Little Devils, which was by far the worst film.
It
I
was a
watched.
case of who was going first with that one.
Oh God.
I have to go with one of my 2 6s out of 10s that I watched. And because I said, why didn't you bring Hannah Montana, the movie, as a recommend, I can't feel I can really bring that as a recommend. So I'm going to bring Horns. Horns.
Oh.
And I'm not doing this to troll
Oh.
because I,
No.
for this is the 3rd time I brought one of Steve's recommends to a decommend.
It is.
Oh yeah, I forgot you'd recommend it.
But I kind of, to echo your thing, I didn't quite know how to feel coming out the end of it. Because I thought, for the most part, was interesting concept, very high concept film. I thought the ending was absolutely trash. I thought it had led itself up for a really nice, sweet, heartbreaking ending, and then it decided to do something stupid. Just naff. Really undermining what was a nice drama, heartbreaking story, crime drama. I know a whole load of metaphor, but it was naff.
What I like is you're doing quite dramatic pauses, almost like begging Steve to interrupt. And then
I'm
Steve's
just waiting.
quietly,
I'm just waiting.
You're
No,
quietly nodding,
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm just
But
waiting
that's
for it
it.
to finish.
It was a good 7 out of 10 for me for the most part, and it just got destroyed by a really lazy ending.
I think I give it a 7. Really strong 7. For that reason, you come out of it going, well, yeah.
But it wouldn't have had me thinking about it. It just
If
did
it
a
had done
good
it.
ending,
Yeah.
and it just went for some kind of really cheap ending.
Well, it sets its stall out quite nicely from the beginning. It's really
Yeah.
nicely filmed as well. It feels like the pages of a graphic. It's kind of nicely, the camera angles are good, and
And I love the concept that this guy grows horns and then everyone feels that they can express themselves truly to not lie. And
A bad ending will tarnish the entire film up to that point. It's the last thing you think about when you leave, so it's going to tarnish everything, isn't it?
And I think
I
not
like
knowing how to feel is that, and then actually think about it and go, well,
And you might go, well, how would you want it to end? I can tell you exactly how I would want it to end. I think there's a very good way you can end it. It's not even a stretch.
Yeah.
But instead they went for something completely stupid.
I do think they changed the ending as well. I don't know whether I read that. I think they did change the ending from the into the film conversion.
I didn't see why anyone would call for what happened. But anyway, that goes
Yeah.
into the spoilers and
For
things.
someone who's not seen it,
Yeah.
very intrigued by it.
It's worth a watch,
Yeah.
but unfortunately it did let me down on that part. So overall, a worthy watch, but let down enough to be a decommend in my... Out of 12 films, definitely
Yeah.
the second worst I saw overall.
Okay.
Okay, so now we go to voting, and it's got to vote first. Eight-legged freaks or horny horns?
Horny, horny.
I'm horny.
Horny.
Vaguely intrigued by horns. I mean, even then, you're clearly not impressed by the ending, but you seem at ease with the film. You seem to think it's quite good.
Exactly, yeah.
Steve really liked it. He brought it as a recommend. And I remember thinking, I'll watch that. It looks watchable. Eight-legged freak's been out for years, and I've just never thought to remotely go near it. I don't know if it's because I'm not scared of spiders. I'm like, they're fine. I'm not one of those people who get like,
Just freaks out.
Yeah, they're fine. I can look at them and go, "Oh, there's a spider over there," but I don't like them.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I definitely don't like big ones, even though it's done for like B-movie trolley reasons, and I might enjoy a lot of that. I just think I don't like. I don't know. They don't look nice.
No. There's
Really.
with them tons of eyes watching you.
Yeah, it might inject a lot of
I think it's
anti-spider sentiment.
Very way they move.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Running across,
It's
like...
Unless they're a particular size and or velocity, they're fine. If they're quick, they need to die, and if they're big, they need to get away from me immediately. I don't kill them though. I refuse to kill them because I don't. Why kill things?
Get a cup and some paper and
They don't know they're trespassing. Just just escort them out. You're a bouncer, not a murderer.
I like that.
That's my Buddhist mentality
That
towards insects. Although it's a fucking pet. I wish I could just kill them sometimes, because you run around for an hour trying to catch like a wasp. When you think, if I were just more of a twat, I could have saved myself 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So I guess Eight-Legged Freaks, because I can't see me just suddenly watching it at this point.
Fair enough.
Because how long's it been out now?
2002, so...
That's 13 years of just not going near it.
Yeah.
So that means Steve votes next. You've got Pretty Little Devils and Horns.
Well, I think this was quite obvious. I'll keep it short and sweet. Horns I brought as a recommend, and we've covered it. We've covered why. Well, strong 7, really worthy of a watch, but just not quite what I wanted. Whereas Scott, you made everything about that film sound like it was the worst thing in the world, and so giving it a 3 or 4. If I'd seen it, judging by your comments, I don't think I'd have gone as high as that. But I know you always say somebody's gone out there and they've made it and they've done it, and but it sounds like it's utter trash.
Well, there's always like ideas at play and things working on, which is why. Like, I know it seems cheap to just give a couple of scores for basic, like, it's the film mentality.
Yeah.
But it is that even on a worst day, the worst film is being good enough to be made and released. So it must have some virtues.
And someone somewhere.
Which is why I never go like, 1! Because you have to appreciate what it does do.
Yeah. I can see that.
But it's low.
Okay.
It is low.
So, I'm going to decommend that then.
Which brings it to me. Eight-Legged Freaks never really cast my eyes across, not through any other reason than I've never kind of been grabbed by it, but at the same time I've not watched it for any reason.
Yeah, same, pretty much.
It just exists, and you know what, I probably will watch it one day, but I imagine it's one of those things that will be on the TV, I'll come into it 15 minutes in and I'll just not be asked to grab the remote. And I might enjoy it. I like B-movies, but it seems a very...
I think you would enjoy it.
It got a proper release and things, so I'm always a bit distrustful of something that's pretending to be a B-movie, but at the same time I sometimes like those. But that's getting
Did you ever watch Sliver?
No.
Don't ask me to follow that train of thought. Because that's a very similar one. James Gunn did it, Sliver, with the...
the cover was like a bathtub with like a...
Yeah, and I always kind of liked that, but it's kind of a similar type of like...
But... Yeah. Pretty Little Devils, I gave 2 out of 10. It is that bad. It's terrible. The script is awful. It's not funny.
Nope.
Not even in its badness.
Nope.
It wasn't enjoyable. When the only good point of a film is Tom Green, you know it's bad.
Yeah.
And he's quite funny. He's got like one big scene, and it looks like he's taking the piss.
Yeah.
And he's overstretching what is obviously a tiny bit of dialogue that he's been given, so he completely overplays it as he does. And that's quite funny, but it's not. It doesn't make a film. It doesn't. If anything, it gives it 1 point to make it 2 as opposed to a 1. The other thing I found alarming was it was kind of this girl who joins this fraternity, and they're really horrible to her, and she's a little bit divvy, and she's running around, and they're horrible to her, and then this is the girl who ends up dying, and there's no remorse.
No.
Even in conclusion, there's no, well, the girl died here today. It's like, oh, well, it's all fine and sorted now, and we've all lived happily ever after, without a second thought to this poor girl who's bullied, like teased, practically drugged, and then murdered, and nobody bats an eyelid. Now, I know it's meant to be a comedy thing, a dark comedy, but to not even... It's almost like it was made by pretty girls who don't give a shit about people, you know? And I'm not overly offended by that. I just think it's a bit like, you're not going to address this point?
But it wants you, like, the main girl who's, like, a bitch, it wants you to want her to be cleared and live and escape, but... She's a big reason that person died. And she doesn't seem to remotely care about the person.
And then the person who actually ended up to have done it was not even like you could have guessed it, 'cause it's a character that you didn't see. You saw her like in one scene.
Literally not in the film. So the big whodunit, it's not even someone in the fucking film you'd have noticed. It was like, oh, that extra from the 4th scene.
Almost like they did with Scream, but that worked.
But it was bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolute bullshit, and Pretty Little Devil is binned.
It's bad. It's not even so bad. It's good.
Yeah, it's just bad.
So bad it's bad again. Goes round twice.
Time for the news!
Yay!
Yay! After the huge success with The Kingsman, Matthew Vaughn is in talks to direct the Flash Gordon reboot. The hero, created in 1934 by the iconic artist Alex Raymond, spawned 3 comic sequels and the 1980s movie with the soundtrack by Queen featuring Brian Blessed.
Yes!
Gordon's alive!
Brian Blessed would have to be in it.
Yeah.
Or else the world would end, as you've just heard.
Yeah.
Or else piles would fall.
Superman just threw Zod through my DVD.
Think of the innocents.
You know, there's mixed success bringing old serial heroes to the big screen. I mean, John Carter of Mars didn't do particularly well. But Star Wars is the biggest thing that's ever been created, and they're very much George Lucas riffing off the Flash Gordon serials. So, I'd be into it. It'd be cool. It's got a camp charm though, the 80s ones.
Yeah.
I don't really want an overly serious, earnest Flash Gordon film, but at the same time, what else do you do with it?
Yeah.
To modernise it and make it viable.
Yeah, it worked because it was cheesy and cheap, and it knew it wasn't embraced that. You can't do that trick twice.
No, and then because people love what it is in terms of in their mind.
Yeah.
If you made it too sincere now to like modernise it and make it like, no, this is an actual like there's
real
ideas
serious
here.
action
People
film.
might
Yeah.
go against it, but I mean they went against Superman, who's right for interpretation, because they used to lighter the Dick Donner sort of one.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do with Flash Gordon, who's only known really?
Yeah, for the camp
this.
sort of 80s thing, and
I don't know, but I'll watch it with interest.
I didn't know it was happening, but yeah,
I'd be in.
I'm intrigued. Label us intrigued. Ryan Murphy, who's responsible for Glee and American Horror Story, the success of both of those, has now found a balance between the two in Scream Queens, a TV series which has been picked up by Fox for 15 episodes. It's going to have the humour of Glee and the scares and gore of American Horror Story. The season will follow one story arc for each season. There's no word yet of a release date.
Andrew's face was like a cold, dead.
It was.
Well, I didn't care much for Glee, and I watched a season and a half of American Horror Story, which had interesting kind of style and was very well imagined and things, but overstretched and bored me, frankly.
Okay.
So I'm not overly excited by that prospect. It could work. I don't care.
Yeah, I've never got into American Horror Story. I always imagined I might try it one day. Glee, especially early doors, had quite a knowing humour.
Yeah.
I used to be quite charmed. But
Did it just end? I don't know what happened with
it's
that.
finished quite recently. I think.
Yeah, only just, yeah.
Because it was a lot more sort of self-deprecating and satirical than people get credit for, because everyone thought it was just a candy floss bit of coke.
Yeah.
Which it is.
It is, but
It's
it was-
one that knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't stick with Glee because
No.
there's only so much time.
I can't watch 3
in the world.
seasons.
No. But, I don't know. I might catch it.
Yeah.
TV is too. There's an oversaturation
There's
of
a lot
amazing
of it.
stuff to watch. I mean, just superheroes alone, my schedule's full. Never mind all the side brilliance and.
Yeah.
But I've still not watched Mad Men or Breaking Bad or 6 Feet Under or myriad great telly I know I'm missing.
That's it.
West Wing. Watch that.
There's a lot.
No. I need to watch The Wire. Everyone tells me to.
I need to
I
go back and
love
try
The
that
Wire.
again. Yeah.
But it's one of them now that you've heard nothing but how brilliant it is for years, so I'm scared of you watching it.
I watched an
Yeah.
episode of Oz the other day, and it's dated. And I thought if I jumped on with Oz now, I'd probably struggle. But actually, it's one of my favourite TV series. But it did strike me how dated it is.
My main impression of Oz when you first lent it me was it was very much like a prototype for The Wire. So I think there's a lot of elements you might like.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so much.
Exactly. Where's it?
I don't even know if I'm going to watch the Scream show.
No, there's been a teaser. I wasn't overly impressed.
I might do. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I never know what I'm going to do. Crazy.
Crazy. James Gunn has finished the story for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and has said he'll be deviating from the Marvel comic book with regard to Star-Lord's father's identity. The first one, he said, was about mothers and this friendship, and this one is about families and fathers. Gamora and Nebula also have issues with their father, Thanos, who's after them, and Drax remembers being a father and is seeking revenge from the Mad Titan.
I mean, first one's brilliant, but it did have the sort of Motley Crue get-together aesthetic to it, so it's going to be tough to replicate that in terms of what do they do now, because it's harder than it looks. But if it keeps the spirit of the first and does interesting things and doesn't replay old cards, I'm quite excited for it. I'm most excited for that after Civil War, Phase 3, because a lot of them I'm like, yeah, maybe.
You see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be good, but we'll see.
I think it's got it. Unfortunately, I think that Guardians 2 might be destined to be meh, even if it's fine, because the first one was so good. Where do you go from there? And it was it felt like a one-trick pony when I saw it. I'm sure it'll do some good things, linking things together. It'll be good to return to that side of the universe again after all that time. But yeah, I think Marvel is going to have. It's going to be tougher for Marvel now, and I don't think they can rest on their laurels anymore. That's been proven by most of the responses to Age of Ultron. I know I enjoyed it, but your two's kind of views of it do seem to be the one most people are going, it's great, it's fine.
I've sheltered myself.
It is, but lots of people are saying it's fine, it's good, it's messy.
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, and most people are saying they enjoyed it, but it's a mess. I really enjoyed it, but
I thought I was on an island of my own and was going to get back. Is that what everyone's saying then?
It seems to be. I haven't seen the responses to what you said in the podcast yet, but no, it seems to be the case. Is most people have enjoyed it, but there's a lot of reservations, and it is
good.
It is good.
It's really good.
I like where it's leading.
It just as a film standing on its own, it's just.
But you know what? I think if Guardians hadn't come out, we'd be much happier with Age of Ultron. But I think Guardians did it so well. Yeah. Even though I wasn't blown away when I first saw it, I love it now. But
you got to keep raising the bar and bettering yourself. But which Marvel, by and large, do. By and large,
it did its job. It ticked the boxes, and most people are happy.
Nice.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1990. Talking of TV series and things we may never watch, the 1990. Sci-fi comedy film Galaxy Quest is set to become a TV series. Whilst it doesn't yet have a network, Paramount is eyeing it. There are several key figures from the movie coming to work on it, including the co-writer. And Galaxy Quest, I didn't know this in the article I read, just to point out, has been voted the 7th best Star Trek movie of all time by fans.
Star Trek.
It's not a Star Trek movie.
I know, beating a lot of Star Trek films.
Was it like a jokey,
like an homage-y joke to? Yeah, it's voted the 7th best over some of the originals.
It's probably higher.
Yeah,
I really like Galaxy Quest.
It's a great film. It's a cracking film.
It's so well written because for example, is it called Fanboys?
Yeah.
Yes.
It feels, and Paul, it's kind of a loveless love letter to. It's a lazy love letter, if you like, to geeky culture and things. This film, Galaxy Quest, is kind of ahead of its time in that sense. I just feel it spoofs Star Trek, but it loves it so much and holds it to its breast and loves it. And I love that film because it takes every element of Star Trek, how brilliant it is, and then how it has dated and things.
Yeah,
I'd love it to bits, and now I really want to watch it right now.
It's great. But again, as a standalone film, it's very watchable and cool. As a series, could it work?
You'd get a bit.
The charm of that cast with Sam Rockwell and Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver. I mean, perfect. I don't know. You're not going to get them.
No.
So I don't know. But what was? I mean, I'm trying to think of 5 Star Trek films that are better. The reboot, Wrath of Khan.
I'd prefer First Contact in there because I think
First Contact.
I can't help it.
I like a lot of the Star Trek films, but I don't know. Galaxy Quest would pick a lot of them for me.
You can't beat the one with the whales.
Journey Home.
yeah.
Which has no real villain other than a singing tube creature.
Just to see Spock on a bus. That film's worth it.
Yeah,
I might
honestly, I
have to
love
Google
that
that.
one.
I need to see
Have you never
that.
seen Journey Home?
I've never seen many of them.
Because they come back to real time.
They come back to
right.
Day Earth.
Okay.
And Spock does not like music on the back of a bus.
I need to see this.
It's a wacky film. It's great.
Get it watched.
I will. I'm just going to add on the Galaxy Quest note. I think I mentioned many podcasts ago that there's a thing floating around that they wanted an R-rated script for it originally, and the script is out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It intrigued me as to how that would have worked, but
Yeah.
we'll see. I wonder if they'll bring that into the TV show. Maybe that could be the element that they missed in the movie.
I always have that moment with Star Trek, like, we never talk about it,
No.
and then it comes up every so often and go, isn't it weird how seldom it seems to come up on a Geek
You've got
podcast?
wrestling and Star Trek in.
It's only because I'm clumsily dropping wrestling.
You know what? I watched
I like it.
A Next Generation the other day, and it's still brilliant television. Just because it takes its time, it looks into theory. It doesn't have to go car chase explosion. Star Trek was proud of itself. You know, we went, well, this is what we are, and if you don't like it, fuck off.
I know you have, like, sort of, you don't like committing to TV shows all the time, because you quite rightly demand, like, impress me and then I'll commit my time.
Yeah.
I really one day want you to watch Battlestar Galactica,
I think I'll like it.
because I think it's up your alley a bit. Once you're hooked, I think you'd really like it.
It's the same. I mean, Star Trek and X Files are put in the same plate. They're just great one-off watches.
It's kind of it's in there.
I'm being roped into Firefly. Watch this space.
Have you never watched
seen
Firefly?
it? No.
Oh, we're going to enjoy this conversation when it comes up. You go.
Well, watch Ant-Man's journey from concept to final film started in 2006 before Iron Man launched its franchise upon the world, as we discussed earlier. After being greenlit in 2012 by Kevin Feige, Edgar Wright left, citing creative differences in 2014. Joss Whedon has said he's read the script and it was the most Marvel script he'd ever read, with Marvel getting it just right. They've kind of lost this script. Paul Rudd and Adam McKay's script has added a lot more aggressive and bigger action set pieces.
Right, well, yeah. But you've got to remember, when this film was first being muted and worked on, and Edgar Wright has been on his pipeline for years, there wasn't a Marvel Cinematic Universe. And whilst it's a shame, because I prefer more like filmmaker-led interpretations, you do have to concede to this greater good of Marvel, because that's the whole thing.
Greater good.
And obviously they can't reconcile that, and he left. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the elements will be maintained. That second trailer looked really fun.
You did.
And whilst we'll always pine and do the old what if Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, if it's a serviceable, charming, funny film, I will not remotely care that I missed Edgar Wright's Ant-Man as much as I love Edgar Wright. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think they've obviously, I've definitely thought some of the lines from that trailer were very Edgar Wrighty anyway, so I think they have lifted some stuff from it. Not necessarily a bad thing.
Definitely. With Spider-Man pretty much confirmed to appear in Captain America Civil War, Drew Goddard of Cabin in the Woods is set to write and direct. Spider-Man's rumoured casting is Nat Wolff, The Fault in Our Stars, Asa Butterfield from Ender's Game, Tom Holland in The Heart of the Sea, Timothy Chamlet from Interstellar, and Liam James from The Killing. They're going to be a lot younger this time.
Yeah, they're
the
going
last
for a
couple have
young
been 26,
teenage
28.
Spider-Man, yeah.
So they're going for sort of
I kind of like that.
high school proper.
Proper, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a high school kid. He's a teenage kid over his head. He's a kid from Queens or Brooklyn or whatever it is. Do that properly. I've done with 30-year-olds just leaving high school and being all hipster cool, and it's just your way of doing it different without having to like do something really overly gimmicky. So I'm intrigued, and I've got every reason to believe it'll be successful.
I'd like it if he just turned up as well. No origin. We don't need to see that ever again.
I don't think they're going to do it.
You don't need to do his origin. You just need to know there's now a person webbing around New York solving stuff. He's obviously a bit of a chatty kid, foiling people, and the repercussions of like who gets this kid in line, what do we do with him, rife for Civil War. That perfect introduction. And then you get a spin-off film that makes loads of money. I honestly think that'll be crazy, that Marvel Spider-Man, because Spider-Man even now he's the third biggest hero. Even though Iron Man and all this,
Definitely.
he's still. Even his bad films do better than people realise. Really successful.
So yeah, Vin Diesel has confirmed Fast and Furious 7 started a new trilogy which is set in New York. Kurt Russell apparently is going to play a larger role in this one, and Justin Lin, the director of 3 and 6, is set to direct the multi-part finale to Dom and Co's story. So we're getting another 2.
Family. It's all about family. We're family.
I'm excited. I still haven't seen 7.
We drive together with plots. We're family. That's the definition.
I'm Groot.
There you go.
Family. I imagine they're really stupid, fluff fun.
Yeah.
But they don't half attract the dregs of society to watch them. Can I just say? I just don't get it. It's not for me.
Fair enough.
I mean, I get that, cars, twisting, explosions, fun, let's all forget life.
I've actually heard a casting rumour for this after losing what they are. The villains in the next Furious film are actually the Top Gear presenters.
That would be incredible.
They've been villains in my life for years.
Can you imagine them driving along having witty bants as they're coming down?
And then The Rock comes up.
The Ford Focus has 2.4 engine. Snarky racism.
The Rock might be a brilliant actor in these films, but he's no match for a Mondeo.
If anyone out there has the awesome skills, can they edit Fast and Furious trailer with footage from Top Gear, please, and quote cite us in it, please?
Toffee blobster.
I just want to see like Vin Diesel driving into the back of a car, and as the car gets hit, I just want to see James May going cock.
I mean, there's an audience. There's a committed fan base, and they clearly please people. So fair play. It's just not quite for me. I just don't have the energy or the inclination.
Fair enough. It's not for It's not for everyone. Ryan Gosling is set to star in Blade Runner 2, directed by the Prisoner's Denis Villeneuve. Ridley Scott will be on board as executive producer, and Harrison Ford will reprise his role as the replicant hunter Rick Deckard. Shooting will begin next year.
I like how we made a joke about another one being released, and then a couple of weeks after, another version was released.
I don't like talking about the film because I've only seen, I want to say, the final cut. And I'm convinced, it's just, there's so many versions. I'm always scared I'm going to be talking about, a different film.
Okay.
It's like when they say if a lion could talk English, you wouldn't understand it because you don't have the same points of reference in context. It's a bit like that. We've not watched. You don't know if you've watched the same film. It's not worth talking about. So I'm scared to ever talk about Blade Runner because you might have watched the director's cut and then we're talking about 2 different films.
Oh.
It's got very cool imagery.
Oh, and it's incredibly influential, and everyone needs to watch it just to say you've watched
a version.
I've got the DVD on my shelf. I don't know which one it is.
But I never quite. Maybe I watched the wrong version.
It does seem like a chore as well because of that very reason that you don't know which one. You feel like you've got to watch all of them.
Cool futuristic cool ideas, cool sets, cool imagery.
How do I feel about a sequel? I don't think it's necessary, but then half the film's coming out. I mean, do we need a Furious 8? No, but it's going to happen.
I will not run to it.
No. Well, fresh from the success of directing the World War II drama Unbroken, Angelina Jolie is rumoured to being considered to direct Captain Marvel. I
can't say I've seen any of her films, but I do think she's a cracking actress when she picks a good role. But that doesn't mean anything when it comes to directing. So I will need to see it. Which didn't she do? Land of Milk and Honey.
She did indeed.
And then this other one. I do want to see those actually. But you know what? I've not heard bad things. In fact, I've heard good things about her work. So good. A nice, strong female helming a strong female lead.
By and large, Marvel are quite good at picking the sort of B or C list directors who are waiting for that big film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And giving them a chance to showcase themselves. You can argue Kenneth Branagh weren't that, and so on and so on. But
Kenneth Branagh was he's an established director and actor and things, but he never done anything like that before.
No, yeah.
So. He did an incredible job as well.
I always liked his Frankenstein.
Never seen it.
The Robert De Niro.
Yeah, it's very weird.
No, it's a trend here because obviously they're finally realising girls like superheroes as well. Who knew? And they're going to do some female-led superhero films, which is brilliant. It doesn't necessarily mean you need a female directing it as well.
True.
Which also means that a female can direct a male one as well.
Yeah.
There's a sort of weird, it's a female one, so a female's got to direct it. No, if a female's best to do Spider-Man, let them do Spider-Man.
Definitely.
Have a bloke do Wonder Woman.
I never really noticed these things, but it's true. Like,
they do it the same with Wonder Woman.
because to me, I don't care who directs it. Like, I do care who directs it, but gender shouldn't come into that at all. And honestly, my brain is programmed to not even pick up on.
If Joss Whedon can do a better Wonder Woman film than a woman, let him do it. Sorry, I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Angelina Jolie,
which tells you a small problem in Hollywood there. But
and for Civil War,
why not? I'm fed up with this bit. Oh well, that's the one with placating women, so a woman has to direct it. And let them do. Yeah, everything.
Let anyone do anything equal. As long as they're right for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
For God's sake.
It's two points don't make a pattern. It's just I'm scared of this being a weird thing.
It's true.
Anyway.
But talking about people who are right for the job, Hugh Jackman has confirmed via Instagram that the next solo Wolverine film will be his last as the adamantium-clawed anti-hero. The movie will hit cinemas in 2017. He is expected, although not confirmed, for X-Men Apocalypse.
Did any of it will be? Did any of you watch the Wolverine?
No, it's the one I've never gone
seen
to.
it.
For the first 2/3, it's a lot better than the first one, and then at the end, it's exactly like the first one. So it's a lot better, but still really naff at the end. But it's just played at this point. I genuinely just waiting for a reboot of X-Men. As much as I will salute Hugh Jackman for his services to the superhero genre and the character he's obviously loved playing, because I love it when they love playing characters.
Definitely.
It's just, you have to know when to walk away, and I felt like this song to play him out started playing about 5 years ago.
Well, if he's in this Apocalypse, I think it's 9 that he's been in.
I mean,
if I'm wrong,
that's more than anyone.
That's a lot.
It's, when you get things in your head. When somebody says something, maybe it always goes. Whenever someone says "just walk away," I just say "just walk away," just walk away.
And lastly, the Native American extras have walked off the set of Adam Sandler's first Netflix movie, The Ridiculous Six, due to the film's racist portrayal of them. The movie follows Tommy Three Knives, who's raised by Native Americans and is married to someone called Smoking Fox. Other characters include Beaver's Breath, Sits on Face, Strawberry Tits. The movie is a PG-13.
Well, I that's amazing. That,
I know.
The character names are so well thought out, and not at all.
There was some lines of dialogue I just didn't bring.
I watch Adam Sandler for his incredibly layered and subtle comedy.
Rich,
I'm looking forward to that.
So he signed this big deal with Netflix that we mentioned quite a few months ago for 6 movies, and this is the first.
But
brilliant.
End of the day, we can gripe and moan and say how we liked a handful of his films once, but they're all crap now. But he'll keep making them, and people will keep watching them.
They will.
So, at what point do you just go, no, in fact, they're terrible.
Yeah.
That day's not come. I'm still going to fight.
Scroll past them on Netflix. They'll be there. They'll exist in the world.
Netflix will recommend it to you, and you'll be like, "Why?"
And it'll weirdly have a 4-star rating, unlike some of the really good stuff that's got 1 star. And you can never quite work out who's rating these movies.
Because if you're stupid enough to watch it, then you're going to like it because you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
But whereas everyone who would vote it down is not going to watch it because we're smarter than that.
There we go.
That's why it's a flawed system.
That's what happens.
I should be allowed to rate it 1 just to balance it out.
Yeah.
So there we are. Everyone's going to be seeing that.
They will. That was the news.
A couple of weeks ago we had a screening and we thought we'd do our film focus this month on Super Mario Brothers.
I just wanted to do I just wanted it to be a snazzy opening, not a full.
Well, don't start something like that and not wish to finish it.
I'm really sorry, Andrew.
Good.
I'm really sorry, Andrew. I'm really sorry, Andrew.
I'll flick the switch.
I'm really sorry, Andrew.
I'll flick the switch.
I'm really very incredibly sorry. I'm really sorry, Andrew. I'm really sorry, Andrew. Sorry. Got a bit.
So, Super Mario Brothers. It's been the first time I've seen it for... Well, I don't know if I have seen it fully. It was the first time you've seen it, isn't it?
It is.
How did you find it, Steve? Super Mario Brothers.
I think I waited the right amount of time to watch it, because from all the trivia throughout the night that it was, Bob Hoskins said it was the worst film he'd ever worked on, and it was plagued with script rewrites. It was supposed to take 5 days to film. It took 17. So much went wrong with it, and the actors would drink between takes, and it just sounded from all the trivia. I thought, God, what am I actually going to be watching? And yeah, okay, it wasn't Mario Brothers that we know and love from the game, which I think annoyed everybody at the time, and that's why they didn't enjoy it. It was a really bizarre sci-fi film. No, that's too far. Damn it.
We were trying to put Steve off because we're incredibly professional.
And then Scott held my nose and I can't breathe. I was claustrophobic, so I panicked.
You were doing really well though. I was quite
impressed. Dear. I breathed through my nose, so I was like, fuck.
Benny, I eat through mine.
That's weird. So weird. I hear through mine.
Oh. So yeah, it was a crazy sci-fi film that I think somebody wrote a script for, and they went, we don't like it, and they went, what if we put Mario in it? And then resold it, repackaged it as a Mario Brothers film. But I thoroughly enjoyed it as a throwaway, stupid action film. I think it was a 7.5. It's 8. It was a 7 or an 8, just from the sheer silliness of it, and the fact that it was meant to be Mario, and years later, okay, fine. But they add Mario more adult.
I'd echo the feeling that it almost feels if that didn't have Mario attached, if it was called Tom and Harry, they happened to be plumbers and it wasn't Mario related and things. And you just change some of the character names and things. It could get away with being a sci-fi film that is held in better stead. I think the fact that it's not that far removed from something like Fifth Element.
Yeah.
I kept thinking Fifth Element in it, with the kind of wacky kind of stuff going off, the Goombas and things. Like it was very odd. It's almost like they were ashamed that it was Mario, so they changed it all.
I think it's more. They tried to like filter everything about Mario through some sort of weird sort of what if it was real context. So they were like, oh, well, it must be a civilization that's evolved from dinosaurs. How do we explain the fungus and mushroom? Well, they'd have to be friendly with it. Maybe someone de-evolved to a state of... Do you know what I mean? And it were all stuff like that. There's actually a lot of really good nods in there. There were like a Hammer Brothers sign in the background at one bit, and then the Bob-omb. And all the iconography is hidden there or referenced. So I don't think it was incredibly ashamed. I just think it tried to over-explain and not do a good job with that. Like, they should have been in for a penny and for a pound and made it more feasible, which it didn't, or try not so hard to explain, but it really wanted to do that. It was weirdly like it was more like obsessed with that than anything else. It's so stupid. Everything about it is amazingly stupid. But weirdly, you've got to rejoice at that in an odd way, especially from looking back. I think Bob Hoskins is the best thing in it. Well, I can never say his name.
John Leguizamo.
He's just a bit wooden in it and stupid. I don't care for him. I don't like the fact it's more Luigi's film.
Yeah. I think John Leguizamo was one of his first roles. I think he was 24, 23, 24 when he did it.
I'm not going to go.
Oh no, I'm just saying. I'm remembering facts from the evening.
But Bob Hoskins does far more for me in the film. I was always intrigued by that tease of a sequel at the end.
Yeah.
Wanted them to go back, wanted to know what were happening.
Which they've now done, SMBcomic.com. They've spent years working on it. They finally got the crowdfunding, spent 2 years doing it, and they've carried on the sequel in comic book form online. It's actually worth a read. It's really good.
Whoa, I'm doing that now.
They have done the sequel, so yeah, check that out.
If someone had presented me with that, I would have had a whale of a time, sort of just fixing a bit of the things here and there, moving stuff about to make it better from an adaptation standpoint, to make it cooler and just work as a film. But it's so stupid and over the top and ridiculous. Like, I don't know why anyone mentions about it. Like, it's fine.
It's so weirdly removed from everything that it doesn't affect anything.
It's more like, if we never got a Batman film again, you resent Batman and Robin. Do you know what I mean? But now we have had like a trilogy and we get a fourth. You look back and you appreciate Batman and Robin. You know it's stupid and it shouldn't have done that and it's awful. But you weirdly get a new appreciation because it was harmless. Basically, this is that, other than we don't feel like we can laugh at it because maybe we could have got a good Mario film. Do you know what I mean? Like, but we will, because they're doing Barbie films.
Exactly, and Play-Doh.
Nintendo have had their hands burnt, so they're reluctant. But it'll happen. Of course it'll happen. It's the most marketable video game character.
It's thoroughly bizarre. I didn't quite know what to go with. The whole reptile thing, it's almost like Yoshi is a proper little dinosaur thing.
And Toad's just a musician on the side of a road with a funny haircut that gets devolved into a Goomba, which are all just
terrifying
giant men with small dino heads.
Dino heads. Terrifying.
It's
so weird. And Bob-ombs wear Reebok shoes.
It's true. And Bullet Bills power the rocket shoes, which is how they jump. This is what I mean.
They put little nods.
They put weird thought into stuff like, how do they jump? Oh, they'll have special boots that are powered by Bob-omb.
And the devolution guns are just painted SNES light scopes from the SNES.
Yeah.
They've painted them.
There's so much weird little stuff. It is in there.
Yeah, but it just...
They even refer to it as a Mushroom Kingdom when referring to like the fungi melting. And even when he's de-evolving at the end, Bowser, he looks like King Koopa of like the cartoon and stuff. I prefer him to be Bowser, but and the Iggy and Spy, they refer to his family a lot. That could be his kids from Super Mario Bros. 3 and so on and so on.
So rather than detaching itself, it's almost like it's overworked it.
Yeah,
it just overthinks everything. Whereas it should have gone for a this just is, let's go in.
You can tell the script had a ton of rewrites because it's just a mishmash of it's all over the place. But
and I think they should have put that portal in a giant pipe because then it's a warp pipe, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Stuff like that annoys me.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest films I've seen.
It's incredibly weird, and in no way or shape or form a good film. But weird, especially if you watch it as a kid, I recommend everyone watches it immediately because it's stupid, weirdly fun nonsense, and it's fun to spot the missteps. I'm always fascinated with things from an adaptation standpoint. Do you know, when you're familiar with its source, just to see its decisions and why it does certain things and what it nods to. It's why I love comic book films. I'm just a big nerd.
So before Steve's going to give us a few more of his favourite 3-word reviews from the night. So Steve, what time is it?
It's time for This Week the Geeks Have Spoken, and it's the 3-word reviews section. Only this time we're not starting with Pete Pushpower, king of 3-word reviews.
But you just kind of did, because you introduced him.
Well, he'll be later on. 2 fun guys, 4 out of 10 at J Tidders.
I get it, fun guy.
Fun guys.
Yeah.
Mario's a DILF, 7 out of 10 at Lisbeth Sness.
Would you?
I want to be a DILF.
You're not a D yet, though.
I don't know. But
have a kid.
I could be. Yeah, but what do you call an older gentleman who's not Boris Seed? Who's not fathered? Who doesn't have an offspring?
Omph.
What's
an old man? Ommal.
I'd like.
Omilf. I'm a MILF. Right?
You're a MILF.
Scott's a MILF.
Man,
okay. This is going.
This review leads on from that. There's no words. Pi out of 10. Magical gas.
There is no words.
There's no words. Pi out of 10.
There are some words. I've seen them.
They're out where?
They're out there.
Just got to find them.
Years ago.
Hundreds of them, Steve. Thousands of them.
You just have to know how to look.
You just have to know their context and spelling and grammatical place in sentences. It's all syntax, Steve. Syntax. There's a book called a dictionary.
Dictionary?
Containing all the words.
All of them.
And when you learn all the words, you can find other words that are similar to the words in the thesaurus.
A fourth.
Thesaurus.
A dictionary and a fourth.
And when you've got a full
Oh,
grasp of the language, you can create your own, like decommend. And flampitude.
Flampitude. I like that. Anyway, next.
Sounds beautiful. I want to live in a world like that.
You do.
What?
What? Carry on.
Needs more Waluigi. 4 out of 10. Taninio.
Yeah, there's a bit when they're in the dance club trying to get the rock back.
There's some mega dancing going on.
Mario's in yellow and he looks very Wario-esque. It's like, that should have been the sequel. Wario and Waluigi.
Fantastically bloody awful. 8 out of 10. At Dicky Shambles.
Fantastically bloody awful.
I agree.
It's as close to summing up my feelings as I can think right now. Does like
Keep going through.
And this one, I love this one. It's a me. 5 out of 10. Name disappointment. All in capitals.
Oh, is it? It's me, disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all carries on.
It does. I like that. Taking all liberties. 1 out of 10. Joel.
That's true, but you've got to have fun with it. Taking all the liberties. It literally took the Statue of Liberty. When they're in the desert trying to get back in, you could see it at the back.
Ridiculous funny plumber. 8 out of 10. Lauren Ward.
It's splitting people.
It is.
Man of Steel all over again.
Re-evaluating evolution. Badly. 4 out of 10. Nuke.
I like that.
Soundtrack not Devo? Question mark. 6 out of 10. At Spiky Yawns. No, it was a cover of Devo. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's that.
Wasn't actually Devo.
Everybody loves a dinosaur. Did you play the full credits so everyone could sing along to Dinosaur?
We did.
people do it? Everybody wants a dinosaur.
Open
Everybody
the door, get on the floor.
Everybody wants a dinosaur.
Not Very Mario. 5 out of 10. At Gareth Jones.
It's true.
It's on the, and Never Again Thanks. 2 out of 10. Moosh.
We'll see.
And someone's just written my favourite plumbers, no score or name. I like it.
Alan and Trevor, my plumbers, are devastated by that.
Are they?
They take a lot of pride in the work.
Oh.
Rob and Mildred. So I use.
They sound made up.
Yeah.
Alright. Time for the end of the show where we do things like Bumpy Goose. Bumpy Goose is a book that I wrote as a child with my sister. Stupid stories based on Goosebumps. Talking of Goosebumps, ABH Pod reviewed Night of the Living Dummy, one of the Goosebumps books, on their latest podcast. So do check that out. ABH Pod.
I still, this is a public outcry. I had a Goosebumps book and it was one of those like, do go in the dog, turn to page 35 or whatever. And it was about a supervillain who could change his shape. He was like a shape-shifting supervillain.
I remember the cover.
And it came out of the pages of a comic book, and there was a kid trapped in like a warehouse where this supervillain was. I want to know what that book was called, because I want it again. Because it was like... books you read as a kid are very special, even if they weren't good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to point out, there's first of a character who comes back a few times.
Recurring character.
Okay.
There is a story to what it was, but I will pass this to Steve now. Now, you did a bit of a poor job last week, Scott, because you kind of crashed at the end of the episode.
I lost all energy and enthusiasm for life.
Yeah, so you might have noticed that it was a really weird Bumpy Goose with Steve just reading it.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre.
It's quite surreal.
I had no sleep, and then do you know when you have that moment of, you're done now? It was one of the rare moments I profoundly had it whilst recording, and it was like, I'm spent. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even know you were talking. I swear, I was that gone. It's like, what's happened?
And then you just went downstairs and stood in the garden, and then you just went upstairs for your taxi, and then you just disappeared. It
was
really, really weird. But anyway, here we are.
strange.
Here is the Eliumber at sea.
The Eliumber at sea. Graham Glaze and Y. Fink were out in their new boat. It was pink.
Important.
Mr. Glaze had built it for his son.
Why is his son not in it?
He is Y. Fink.
Y. Fink.
Oh,
It's his son.
why think though?
Who'da funk?
Yeah.
Y was showing Graham some cool new tricks.
Why?
Yeah, he was showing Graham some
he's
new
sailing.
tricks.
What? Why?
Yeah, he was showing Graham some cool new tricks.
Why?
Yeah, he's showing Y said, pull the sail like this, and it should wow splash.
Ooh.
Into the sea went the boat.
What, like capsized or just like
I think
submerged like a
capsized.
submarine?
I don't know. God knows.
Oops, said Y. I'm all wet.
Lovely flashbacks of Pretty Little Devils.
Oh,
No payoff.
oh God.
The jelly scene, which wasn't jelly.
Well, yeah.
There's another annoyance. In
That
Oh.
film, Steve.
You're making me almost want to watch it.
In fact, do it just so you can be like, when you're angry at us, we're like, well, we recommended
told you.
it.
But you sold it by how bad it was.
So they've fallen in the sea.
So they fall in the sea. Y floundered about in the water. Y looked about for Graham. He was nowhere to be seen.
Oh dear.
Suddenly, an Eliumber appeared.
What?
An
What?
Eliumber. Elleyumber. Eliumber.
Eliumber.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Lady Gaga song.
Eliumber.
Eliumber.
Eliumba.
Eliumber.
Eliumber.
Don't call my name. Don't call my name.
Eliumba.
Oh no! Screamed Y. It's an Eliumber.
I don't think that was dramatic enough. That was such a. That's how Northern
I
people
turned
would
into
do.
Ringo
Like,
Starr.
oh no!
Oh no!
Oh
said
no,
Thomas.
said Thomas.
There's a bloody Eliumber in the
Now
water.
I want you to. Right, you're in the sea. You're
Okay.
floating. You're looking for your friend who may be dead. You've got to presume he is dead at this point. And suddenly, a creature we cannot even fathom what it may look like appears. You won't be like, oh no, oh no,
Oh,
our
no.
imminent denies. Oh no, this escalated quickly. You've got to sell the moment.
Right. Oh no! Screamed Y. It's an Eliumber!
It's better.
Say, it's an Eliumba in the river Humber in a northern accent.
Yeah.
It's an Eliumber in the River Umber!
I like it.
Ellie
I don't know why.
Umba!
Eliumba. That's how you do it.
Eliumba!
Eliumba.
Eliumba! Nichirawa! Eliumba!
I still think at the beginning of Lion King they're singing Arsene Wenger. So it sounds like Arsene Wenger. Anyway.
Yeah. Eliumba, it called. It grabbed Y by the toe.
Which toe?
God, it's for your
Because
imagination.
if you grab the small one, I'm convinced it'd probably just come off if you applied enough pressure. If you were fighting it,
Yeah.
could it support?
Dunno.
don't know.
You just have to assume.
Yeah. It grabbed Y by the toe. Now it had got both of them. The end.
So that was the first that he'd already had the other one. But what is an Eliumba?
An
There's not
Eliumba
even a
is something
picture.
my sister used to scare me with, like coming around the house staring, doing a stabbing motion and
Oh.
going Eliumba. And I always imagined it was like a Tuscan raider,
Okay.
Oh! Okay.
and I was terrified. I used to run around, and that's where they came from.
Wow.
I think we should compile all the Bunker News stories and give them to Mortified
Yes.
for their sequel.
So. But I'm quite proud of them. But then
They're
again, you did say
incredible.
earlier I've no shame gland.
They're
Which
incredible.
wouldn't even be a gland, really. I should have said gene. But I think you feel shame. Or I think you imagine what shame is and try and replicate it to fit
not
in.
like I'm an
I
android.
don't think
or
you've got
something.
genuine shame.
It's like you're making out I do things I should be shameful of.
I mean, effectually, I wish I was you.
What time is it, Steve?
It's time for This Week The Geeks Have Spoken. Thank you kindly for all your tweets, interactions, 3-word reviews, etc. We'll start as always with 3-word reviews and Pete Bushbauer, the king of 3-word reviews at Popular Outcasts, on his quest to watch 365 films in the year before the year is out. He's well on track so far for an early finish, I reckon, if he carries on at the rate he's going. Leprechaun in the Hood, hip hop horror, 5 out of 10.
Higher.
Leprechaun 2, Back to the Hood, random and ridiculous, 5 out of 10.
Probably right.
The Blair Witch Project, which sounded amazing, so with live director commentary, added new insights, 8 out of 10. And Hollow Spy said that sounds incredible. I'd love to hear that.
I would,
And
actually.
Peach replied, it was live in a theatre. It was a one-of-a-kind experience, and it was awesome.
Oh, I bet that would cool.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good. Freya, the Eventborough, at Run Roller Run. Cinderella, Foot Fetish Fairy Tale, 7.5 out of 10. One for Tarantino there. Jen at J Tidders, Mortified Nation. God, I got the name of the film wrong. Mortified Nation.
Shouldn't the Cinderella?
I'd put it in my phone wrong.
Shouldn't the Cinderella review be Bippity Boppity Boo? Wouldn't that be the best for you?
It would.
Especially if it's a bad film, you could go bippity boppity boo.
Yeah.
Ooh. Can one of us
Or
watch
if
it?
it's good, Bippity Boppity Boom. They nailed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like
Sorry,
that.
you got the big plug earlier wrong, didn't
Yeah,
you?
Yeah,
Mortified Nation. And I actually said check out Mortified Nation on their website, and then called the film Mortified. So that's my own stupid fault. But yeah, Jen said hilarious movie cringiness, 8 out of 10.
Are you mortified that you got
I
that
am
wrong?
mortified. Getmortified.com is the website.
Will you
So
ever be able
check it
to
out.
apologise enough?
No. Moving on. Grudgebeard 2.0, man of many names, at Sparky Wright, watched The Matrix and said still holds up, 7.523 out of 10.
I don't like it. I've never been that in love with Matrix.
Really?
Yeah, I get it. I like it. I like what it means and what it did, but I just don't get on with it.
Oh, I
overly.
still
I'd
adore
never
it.
revisit it.
Still adore it.
Not been back.
Although I've not watched it in a few years now. I'm at that point of I ought to.
Give it a revisit.
Strange.
He also watched The Lady Vanishes, Superior Classic Thriller, 8.135 out of 10. I believe Attaboy Clarence spoke about that.
Yeah, maybe,
In one of his
yeah.
recent podcasts. I'm sure I've seen him tweet.
The lady
The
approves.
lady. She's the Man. Freya watched At Run Roller Run. Enjoyable Bynes goofiness, 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I enjoyed it that much.
It does have a weird
Yeah.
charm to it, but it isn't good, is it?
I watched far too much Amanda Bynes. I watched Hairspray as well,
Did you?
Ooh.
which is a curse of a film because it just makes you sing those fucking
Yeah.
songs in your head.
Catchy, it's
Yeah.
good. She also agreed with this week's Decommend. Legacy Pretty Little Devils. Don't watch this. Brackets just the worst. 1.5 out of 10.
So it's the right choice.
Couldn't
Yeah.
quite commit between a 1 and a 2.
It's not quite a
Yeah.
Pete Bushbow at Popular Outcast. Harmontown. Recommend, not decommend. 8 out of 10. After you having to
Yeah.
do both.
Yeah.
Well, I did recommend it under duress, having
did.
only watched one film.
You did.
It's definitely a recommend. It's cracking.
And the last one from Pete. Naked Ambitions, an R-rated look at the X-rated industry. Artistically approaching porn. 6 out of 10.
Cool. I like that. Gauge your higher mind,
Yeah.
your lower mind.
But what do you do after 3 minutes when you're just a mess? And you,
You get to contemplate all the artistic points
Yeah.
levelled for the next half hour, then 3 minutes again.
now I'm feeling ashamed.
Okay.
I'm jerking mostly.
It's about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting older.
The Trepid Ass, trademark at Elride. Watch the interview. Lord of the Rings references abound, 5 out of 10. Or Incredibly Annoying Franco, 5 out of 10.
I forgot about that. I should watch
Yeah.
this one. You watched it, didn't
I
you?
did. I think I give it a 5 or a 6. It's pretty terrible.
I'll get around to it one.
Yeah. Matthew Bouch at Matt Bouch. Rocky 2. Oh, the feels.
No, yeah, I've got a soft spot for Rocky film. I'm looking forward to the new one.
Are they doing another one?
They're doing he's the trainer now, and he's training Apollo Creed's son.
Oh, wow.
What's it
Okay.
called? I assume this is actually happening. I've seen a picture that seems to suggest
Oh,
it.
okay.
I don't know if someone's...
Sure, it isn't just the Warburton's advert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Might
sorry.
be.
He's just selling bread.
It
I
might
got confused. Rocky Roll.
Rocky
Yeah,
Roll.
so,
There we go. Andrew Hunt at Andrew Hunt. Just thanks again. We mentioned it last week for the Suicide Squad. More fun than the Justice League blog that's up on our website.
Yeah, show us what you think about that blog. But yeah, it's a good discussion point.
It is. And Rose at Kirsty Scope 90 piped up to his blog. Hells yeah, it's awesome. Harley, King Shark, and Deadshot rule. Waller is a douche.
all those are true. It's just funny, like, almost like they're real. Oh, such a douche!
God, you douche.
That's her role. If I watch anything with Amanda Waller in and I don't kind of hate her, they've not quite done it properly.
Yeah. Vicky Strange at Vic Strange. Era and some of the Avengers need to save Stan Lee. Who could have done this? And sent us the picture of the Stan Lee minifig she won in the box, and said, "So yeah, well done on the win."
Yeah, thank you
Cheers
very
for
much
the picture.
and everyone who did.
It was a cool prize.
It was. Looked awesome. Bex at Arbitrary Genius. Deadpool versus Thanos is out in autumn, so yeah, he'll be around. Tim Seeley's going to write it. We were speaking about Deadpool a couple of weeks ago.
Comic books.
Yeah.
That's all. Like any stunt death, I just say comic books, and then we move on.
Mike at Mike Fathers. May the Air Force be with you, and sent us a picture and an article about an R2-D2 jet from Nippon Airlines, which looked amazing. It's all painted up to look like R2-D2.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I always want a bin.
Yeah,
That looks like R2-D2.
That would
Yeah,
make sense,
that would be good.
That guy sounds familiar.
Mike
Mike.
Fathers.
Mike.
I don't know, we might hear from him later.
Yeah, Mike.
Anyway, carry
I
on.
don't know
Mike.
if I know one.
In the week, the Geek Speaks reads, hashtag WGS reads. Bex at Arbitrary Genius has read the Thor comic, Who is Thor? That's her 3-word review. And Iron Fist, the 77 run, 6 out of 10. Gets better, but a nice start.
Oh, cool.
Do send your reads to us, hashtag WGS reads. Any comic or graphic novel you read, just send us, give it a review, tell us how you found it. We like talking comics.
We do. We need to be pushed into it more, I think, because we give Mark his space. But,
Well, I've been reading a fair few. I might talk about them in Open Forum next week.
problem is, I mostly read DC, and then I always feel like a slight DC guy. Where I need to read more Marvel. It's hard to penetrate though.
Yeah.
Marvel.
It's tough.
It's hard to like. Where do I start? Where do I go? What do I do?
What do you do?
I just panic, and cry, and then go back to DC.
Trouble Batman.
I got a text off my friend Mike, reader Stephen King, because he's not on Twitter, and said, I would have added to your list The Dead Zone to the list. Walken and Sheen equals good news. Also love the books It and Needful Things, although I think I have mild coulrophobia due to a combination of It and a Sylvester McCoy Doctor Who episode, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
I was in a cinema the other day, and outside the screen where SpongeBob was playing, there's a picture of the Poltergeist film, and it's just a massive evil clown. With that picture I texted.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know what that was.
That disturbs me to my very soul.
Yeah.
And they're going to put that outside of a kids' film. God. Well done.
It disturbed me. I wonder what. I thought it was something from Five Nights at Freddy's.
I personally think that's brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
If anything, I'd put the trailer in as well.
Definitely. A few more. We've got Jay Tidders, at Jay Tidders Jen. In defence of Jazz Pirates, talking the GTA movie, you can have an actor in a documentary. At Zoe Ashton in Dreams of a Life UK. And also added laughing like a loony at me describing Human Centipede as tongue-in-cheek.
I don't know how we didn't pick up on
Can't
that.
tell it's deliberate.
I don't think you even intended to.
No.
And then I would just listen to it, and tongue-in-cheek's the perfect way to describe it.
That made me laugh.
Missed out on it.
You can only have an actor playing someone in a documentary if that's the subject of your documentary. You're doing it for an artistic point, though. I still think it was worth a little jab.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Playful jab.
be honest,
to my buddy old
Little
pal.
stab in the
To my
arm.
little buddy old pal over
Stab in
it.
the arm.
All the passive aggressive sexual tension. Blokes.
Scott, put it away.
Why do blokes do? I see it a lot when it's like, I'll twist your nipple and I'll poke you.
Punch you in the
It's so
thigh.
homoerotic. Please just wank each other off. That's what we did early on, and we've never been like that since, have we? You just get it out of the way, don't you? And then that's it.
As I was saying, actually, I'll tell this little story. We went to a friend's quiz the other night, didn't we, Steve?
We did indeed.
And
yeah.
there was these three blokes in the corner, which made me laugh because they obviously had some issue with the fact that they were at a friend's quiz, and that made them somehow less manly. I don't know why you care, but to kind of counteract this point, they were being as laddish as possible to try and prove to all the girls in the room that they were cool. And I went to the bar, and one of the questions was, how many sisters does Joey Tribbiani have? And it's about the only questions I could probably have answered in there, and it was 7. That's the answer. But one went 2, and I fucked them both.
Oh, classic.
I was like, well,
Bounce.
well, I don't know.
Bounce.
I don't know who.
That's
Why you want to bellow that out in the first place?
no.
And who's going to be impressed by that?
Yeah.
It is literally the equivalent of, everyone, I'm heterosexual. Can I just remind everyone, I am straight.
I love football and page 3.
I've never understood. It's the same people who are loud and obnoxious when they're drunk. When I'm drunk, it's just me thinking slightly less. Do you know what I mean? I'm like this. Maybe I'm slightly louder. Maybe I'm saying slightly more stupid things. But you're not...
There's some type of person, and there's a lot of them, for some reason really has to defend their machoism.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
It's weird.
Over-tested.
I've got nought to prove.
No.
It's always weird. It weirds me out.
It's strange.
It's odd. But we are. We're not that.
No,
we're not men, though, are we?
We're not.
Not real men.
No.
I mean, we grow facial hair and
Yeah,
have
but
penises and
that's
Adam's apples and
about
Y
it.
chromosomes.
That's about
and
where it stops.
every identifier for manliness there is. But I don't spit
No.
that much.
No.
I can barbecue, though. I think I'm a man, actually.
Oh. Michael Saborin at The Flickist. I'm sure 100 people have already notified you, but Stephen King didn't direct A Good Marriage, he directed Maximum Overdrive. Yep, thank you. It's corrected me. Whoops. Sorry.
It's always you.
Got it
Steve.
wrong. And Re Lucky Man, the superhero that's been created for British TV show by Stanley, that's pretty much Black Cat's power.
I've never quite fully understood Black Cat's power.
I don't.
It's a bit like Scarlet Witch's power in that it's weirdly abstract and works, but I never hear a good explanation for it.
Right.
You kind of grant it, but don't really understand it.
Okay. Joe Pollard at JC Pollard mentioned the other week she'd watched Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 and said, "Finally, my love of crap films recognised. Thanks, boys. Plenty more gems to behold. Hello, ladies. #sadist."
I honestly, genuinely want to watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
You do.
Because it's got 9% Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone's calling it anti-comedy. And I'm just wondering, is it that... Has it found this perfect void of comedy that will somehow be weirdly hilarious or intriguing to me?
I'll come and watch it with you, because
Can we?
I've seen the first one.
Can we?
Yeah.
I really want to watch
Go on.
Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Go on.
It's become this weird sort of... like, it's like if someone went, there's a dead body in the road, and you don't want to see it.
No.
You don't want it.
No.
You don't want that to be happening. But
Part of you.
it's outside.
Right,
isn't it?
yeah,
If you
just
don't look,
just
it'll
over
go,
there.
and you never saw it.
Yeah. And the last tweet I've got is the HOM movie podcast at HOM podcast. About 60,000 feet above the Bay of Biscay, en route to Marrakesh. I listened to part of the latest weekly Geek Speak, and that was Stephen and the WGS selfie. So thank you for that. That was awesome.
We should start a weekly Geek Speak Mile High Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
baby.
it. How do you listen to the podcast? Take a picture of yourself listening to us. #WGS selfie. Thanks to those who've joined in so far.
Also, before you finish, Stephen has also got in touch on email. So that's Stephen from the HOM History Misunderstanding podcast. Always a good listen. Hello, lads. Here's my condensed review of Avengers Age of Ultron. Please do send your views on Age of Ultron. I'm sure we're talking that at the end of next week, 'cause it's a bit more time.
Yeah.
Though I enjoyed it, I wouldn't rank it above as Avengers Assemble. Its plot was weaker and formulaic, with an over-reliance on set-piece epic battles against an enemy horde. Lots of plot points were neither short enough to be pointed or elaborated enough to warrant the time. Ultron as an enemy was too humanised in character and in CGI animation. Many of the fights suffered from the unbelievable CGI of Spider-Man 3. Back when Tim Burton restarted comic book superhero films, it was partly the lack of advanced CGI that kept Marvel's heroes in development hell. The reliance on CGI over plot seems to be taking Marvel in the opposite kind of hell. Ultimately, Avengers Age of Ultron was chewing gum for the eyes, being style over substance and CGI over plot. Fun in its way. This is really hard to read with sun in my...
It's okay.
Fun in its way, but won't motivate even half the revisits of Avengers Assemble. Warm wishes, Stephen. I think that pretty much, as I was saying earlier, even though I loved it, I do need to see it again because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I can't really argue many of the criticisms.
It's weirdly part. I slightly disagree with Ultron because I like the way they overly humanised him. I think sets it apart from the slightly cliched sort of. AI evil robot.
Yeah, and it had kind of Tony Stark at the core, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was about AI was Tony Stark.
Yeah.
The arrogance and things.
Yeah,
That childlike innocence of the world.
and his quirkiness and bonkersness made him quite endearing to me. Yeah, that's basically how I felt. Like there was a ton of subplots, and both didn't quite have enough time to be worthwhile, but had more time than you would give just to have them, if you know what I mean. But like I say, it's it's fit to burst. So some things have to give, and it's an easy stick to beat it with. But it is good and fun, and these are big, lavish sort of celebrations for Marvel, really. So we can't be too harsh, because it's got to be a minefield trying to put together an Avengers film with everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Things are going to fall through cracks every time.
I think we were kind of spoiled last year as well with Captain America 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy, both working opposite ends of the spectrum really well.
But it's really good, and that review touches on a lot of what I feel quite succinctly.
Well, please do share your views on Age of Ultron with us. We have been Weekly Geek Speak. You can find us at Weekly Geek Speak on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. Watch us on YouTube, as Scott and Dan have more hijinks on old games. You can find us on Spreaker, Stitcher, Podcast Land, and iTunes. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next week with more.
Toodles.